We are storming into the Instant Reacts podcast. The Morrison Mustangs are storming into the Reacts. We got Mitch Stormer in here, Morrison Mustang alum. Man, I don't know how else to start this podcast, man. What a win. You were texting me all night. Unbelievable, thrilling win.
Yeah.
They go on the road to Princeton, knock them off in definitely a game of the year candidate, an all-time classic tonight. Mitch, we're wasting no time on the Instant Reacts podcast. Welcome in, first of all, but let's get right into it here.
Yeah, this was a pretty special game to watch. And again, my bias is certainly going to come out tonight. I have no, there's no way around it. But if it was any other game, right? If you put two other teams on the field and the game played out the exact same way, I would say the same thing. Like this is absolutely a game of the year type of candidate because it had an early Morrison lead. It had Princeton coming back. It had Morrison taking another late lead, Princeton taking a late lead with under a minute left, and then that's when things really just turned up a notch. So unbelievable. Watch this game from whistle to whistle. And, early on, it looked like everything was going Morrison's way because on their first drive, they had, and I would love to know if this was planned or not, because the way I saw it was different than what the guys on the score said. And I don't remember how the Princeton broadcast team called it, but anyway, Morrison was punting, and Deshaun McQueen is their punter, and Princeton had a guy just coming straight at him. Would have definitely blocked the punt. And McQueen pulls it away and runs. So I don't know if that was a called fake or if he did it on the fly. But so that was the first cool part of the play.
Yeah.
Then McQueen drops the ball, picks it up, and runs it 30 yards for a first down, which he then fumbled. And Princeton thought they had it back, but the refs called him down. So it was crazy. So they got a couple breaks like that. They scored. They go up 6-0. They end up going up 13-0. They held a 13 to, I think it was 13-6 lead at half.
I think it was 13-7 at half. I thought I saw that.
It was about that time, maybe midway through second, certainly in the third, that it looked like Princeton had figured it out. It almost looked like Princeton's power was starting to wear down Morrison a little bit. But Morrison just kept hanging around. And specifically what impressed me tonight was their defense. They were certainly undersized against Princeton. A lot of teams are. Their speed certainly overcame that. But just the way that they would hit the gaps and not allow Princeton's running game to really get going. I don't think Casey Etheridge was over 100. He was close, but I don't think he was over 100. Ace Christensen the same way. They sacked Will Lott a handful of times. And again, it kept them in the ball game. So as they kind of hung around, you thought maybe they're going to do it. Maybe they can hang on. And they go up late. Princeton gets the ball back with under 3, or maybe it was even less than that. They throw a big pass play that, to me, and again, I don't want to blame refs or anything like that. It looked to me, I'm just saying, it looked to me like maybe the pass wasn't complete. The receiver for Princeton dove for it. They called it a completion. That's fine. It's water under the bridge. It's no big deal. The very next play, Will Lott throws a deep ball to Noah Laporte. And Noah Laporte, all 6'6" of him, just absolutely mosses the Mustang defender. What can you do, right? I mean, there's only so much you can do.
He's an amazing player. Yeah.
It was an awesome pass, an awesome catch. So now Princeton goes up too. It's 21-19 at that point. And I had a lot of people watching the game tonight, and all the texts started rolling in like, man, that's too bad. That's unfortunate. And it almost looked like things were just going to end because there was a play with under a minute left. Mustang quarterback Colton Bielema was scrambling through. It was incomplete, and he either took a hit or he went down cramping. So he had to come out of the game because they had to call injury timeout. He had to come out of the game. So Morrison throws Chase Newman in at quarterback, takes a shotgun snap, and he fires a ball down the left sideline to Deshaun McQueen for 46 yards. He steps out at the 10. So at this point, there's 8 seconds left. And I didn't know what they would do. I didn't know if they would try and run a play. I didn't know I didn't know what was going to happen. And then all of a sudden you realize that, no, they're setting up the kicking unit. 8 seconds left. Morrison sets up the kicking unit with Josh McDermott, who is a freshman, who we were told, we're trying to confirm this. This was his first ever game of football, which if it was,
yeah,
what a story this is. So they send him out. Princeton calls a timeout to ice him, comes back right out, and just drills. It had been about 27-yarder, just drills a 27-yarder. And you originally thought the time had run out. Turns out they put 4 seconds back on the clock, and a squib kick. Princeton tries to do some throwbacks, just didn't work out, and time ran out. So it was just an unbelievable football game. It was so much fun to watch. Certainly, again, as a Morrison alum, the bias is going to come out, and there's just a lot of excitement around everyone that I've talked to tonight. But just in terms of just watching a football game, and even the Princeton Tiger Central live team echoed this, that it was one of the best football games they've ever watched. And it really just it kept you on the edge of your seat. And again, as I probably way too much described there, just back and forth all night between two really good teams. And in the end, you have an unranked 1A Morrison team defeating the top team in 3A. And boy, it was just a lot of fun tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I had a great night tonight, but I'll be honest, like, as you were texting back and forth with me watching that game, I'm walking the sidelines at Annawan-Wethersfield, Stark County, getting your updates, and I am like clinging to my phone, desperately waiting to hear what you got to say next.
Yeah.
Because it was, hey, Morrison's got the lead, 4 minutes left. Oh my gosh, Noah Laporte just mossed the guy. They take the lead. What a game. And at that point, you even said something about like, great. I don't know how you phrased it. Like something about like this Princeton team, they battled through it. They came back, and it was, it was almost like you're conceding like, hey, it was a heck of an effort by Morrison. And then you text me back, they're at the 10. They could score. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And then the describing the kick, like freshman kicker coming out, like the whole thing. I'm living and dying through your texts. In the meantime, I'm at a fantastic game myself. Like, what a night. Is unbelievable. One of those all-time nights. We'll get into some of the details of it, but wow, that's amazing. And I do want to say, part of the reason that we're talking up this win for Morrison so much, it's not to disparage Princeton. I think the reason we're talking it up so much is because we've been so impressed with what they've done, and they've always taken care of business. And for some of a team like Morrison, who we were high on in the offseason, to see them come in and get the job done, I applaud them, because they just beat a really good program who's going to have a lot more success this season.
Yeah.
Just wanted to get that out there.
Yeah, a couple things on that. One, I think we learned way more about Morrison than we did about Princeton tonight.
There you go. Yep.
Way more about Morrison. I didn't think Princeton played bad at all. Or at least in maybe if they had a bad play, nothing that they didn't overcome. So I think we learned way more about how good Morrison is than anything about Princeton. Because I, as you said, I think Princeton is going to do really well this year. Certainly, I thought they would go undefeated, eating crow on that in all the best ways. But yeah, with their size and their skill players, they're really going to play really well. But yeah, it's a big deal because this is Princeton's first regular season loss in like 3 years or something.
I was just trying to remember that. Yeah.
When they lost to Kewanee. That was the last time they lost in the regular season.
Okay. Yep. I was at that game. I remember that was a fantastic game too.
And that was that like 2019? I mean, it was a while ago.
Man, that's a good question. God, I don't know. I can look that up real quick because it's the Instant REAX podcast, Mitch. So we just do things on the fly.
no matter what year it was, if it was 2019 or 20 or 21, that just goes to show how long it's been that Princeton has had an undefeated regular season streak. So, yeah, a big deal for state rankings. I mean, where do you put Morrison now?
Yeah. People are going to be talking.
Have a legitimate claim to put them from unranked to into the top 5. I mean, they beat up on Mendota, and then they beat the top team in 3A. So why else wouldn't you put them that high? If they play the way they did tonight, they're going to be a pretty good team.
Yeah.
Moving forward. So, as we talked about prior to this week, as the weeks go on, week 1 tells us something. Weeks 2, 3, and 4 really start to paint the picture. And if this is what Morrison's going to look like this year, you've got a brand new team in the track that's going to make noise, and they could legitimately have a shot to win that division.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, quickly. Princeton was undefeated 6-0 in the COVID spring. Let's go back. In 2019, they lost 1 regular season game. 2020, the spring season, they won every game.
Mm-hmm.
In 2021, they lost 1 regular season game. That may have been the Kewanee game. Okay. Last year, they were undefeated regular season. So
what week was that?
I don't have that pulled up. I just have their year by year.
Okay.
But yes, I believe the Kewanee game was in. If I remember, week 4 or 5.
So you're talking over 20 straight regular season wins then for Princeton.
Yeah.
So
yep.
Yeah. So and they did so too. I talked about the defense. They had 3 interceptions on the night. Two of them I think were inconsequential. One was on 4th down, and one was right before half. But still, just again. Speaking of Deshaun McQueen too, he made that great play on the first punt. There was another one. I think this would have been in the 4th. That it was a high snap, and he had to scramble a little bit. It looked like he might try and take off, but then he kind of did the run punt thing, and it worked out to be a really good kick. So they just played so well tonight on every single level. Colton Bielma, quarterback, can really sling it. And with all those speed guys, with Carson Streeting, Brady Anderson, Deshaun McQueen, all those guys, it's just a recipe for a really good team. They showed it tonight. And again, what a win.
Yeah, I want to get back to when you talked about McQueen's fake punt and how that turned out. I agree. I was going to get on the podcast and talk about, man, that's a gutsy call from Morrison. They're playing with all this confidence and nothing to lose. But the way you described it, maybe you're right. Maybe he saw the writing on the wall, and an athlete made a play.
And they were pinned pretty far back, so it would be pretty surprising if they did call a fake there. But again, it looked to me like he just made a gut call and it worked out. So, to break the news here to you, Greg, we did talk to Morrison head coach Nate Vandermine tonight. He is unable to join us this evening. He's going to celebrate this win. It is his birthday tonight.
I was going to say, he has a very good excuse. Yeah. It's his birthday. Yeah. So, man, if there's a night to celebrate with the team, with the coaches, I'm sure, let him have it. Great for him.
Yeah, so we'll give him a pass. But we did talk to him. He's fired up. Certainly, why wouldn't you be as a first-year coach? And, can't say enough of the excitement now that we have around Morrison moving forward.
All right, Mitch, can we talk about my night now? I am
now you're up.
I am itching to talk about my night. So
yes, please.
I gotta tell you, we talked about it last week on the pod. Man, week 1 for me just felt clunky. I just felt like I couldn't get myself. Things weren't working out. So tonight I had talked to Dazzo at WQAD, and I said, hey, Kewanee's in town. Annawan-Wethersfield's also in town. Mitch, if you remember from your time going out, that's a beautiful night because the high schools are 5 minutes apart. So you really have a lot of wiggle room to make sure you get good highlights. It's an easy, what we call a swing, right? From one game to the next, it's an easy swing. So I was excited tonight because I really wanted to see Kewanee, and I really wanted to see Annawan-Wethersfield versus Stark County. I was impressed with what Stark County did last week. I wanted to see that one. So Get to Annawan-Wethersfield in plenty of time. I'm there early. I'm ready to go. Stark County was also ready to go. They stop Annawan-Wethersfield on their first possession. They get the ball back. I believe there was a penalty. I can't remember who it was on, but the first play from scrimmage for Stark County offensively, Luke Rewerts goes 47 yards to hold on, let me look up the name now. I gotta remember. Juice. Lane Juice. Joos. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Lane Juice, 47-yard touchdown pass. First play from scrimmage. They're up 7-0. So I'm already kind of fired up, so I got to play right away. Back down the other way, Annawan-Wethersfield drives downfield. They're marching downfield. They get a 4th and 1 deep in Stark County territory. They go for it. Stark County stuffs it. They get a play. They get the stop there. Going back the other way, they're stopped. They trade possessions a little bit. Then Annawan-Wethersfield really picks it up. They get a screen pass, which Zeb Rashid breaks free. He goes for 30-ish, 40-ish yards down to about the 5-yard line. Next play, Dylan Orey punches it in. So we're in the middle of the second quarter with 7-7 tie. That's a perfect time for me to get out of there. I got highlights that I need. But in the back of my mind, I thought I might be able to get back to Wethersfield. Might be able to make it back there. Get over to Kewanee. Kewanee is at right about halftime. So I don't get anything before the halftime horn. And at first, I was kind of like, oh, man, that's a killer. That kind of sets me back. But really, that was kind of a blessing in disguise. It gave me time to edit my highlights, send some stuff back, get out third quarter. I get a big play from Kewanee. I get a play from Erie Prophetstown. Then Kewanee scores a touchdown. They're up 28-0. That's my time to get out because I knew the Annawan-Wethersfield and Stark County was a close game. So, Mitch, before I leave, thank you to athletic director from Kewanee, Tim Atwell. Gave me a coupon for a free pork chop and a drink. So I grabbed.
We like that.
Yeah, we love that. So big shout out to Tim Atwell. He's been there every year I go to Kewanee. He's there waiting with that free pork chop card. I love it. It was Hog Days in Kewanee, Mitch. So big deal this weekend in Kewanee. They were prepping for the parade tomorrow. The carnival's in town. It's all happening in Kewanee right now. So I get my pork chop. I head back down the road. I get to Wethersfield, and it's a close game. Second half, it's a close game. I'm gonna say it's the second half. So I'm gonna bury the lead a little, or I'm gonna bury a little bit of the story here.
Okay.
Annawan-Wethersfield, they go back and forth. They trade possessions a little bit. Annawan-Wethersfield starts driving downfield. Clock's winding down. They get down to, man, I don't know what it was. 7 seconds left in the third quarter. They're on 4th down. They elect to kick a field goal that's blocked. Not a little bit more than 7 seconds, probably 14 seconds-ish. Gets field goals blocked. Stark County returns it a little bit, but a penalty sets them back. Either way, they get the ball at about midfield. With now is about 7 seconds left. First play, first down. Rewerts again to Jose. Completion, huge pass. 40-ish yard touchdown. I don't know exactly how long it was. Scores as the third quarter ends. They kick the field goal. They go up 21-14. Now, Mitch, I'm gonna pause here and I'm gonna tell a little bit of an embarrassing story.
Okay.
So, like I said, I had left Kewanee in the third quarter, late in the third quarter. I got to Annawan-Wethersfield. I saw the clock was at 5-ish minutes. I'm shooting this potentially game-winning field goal that's blocked with little time left. Stark County throws this huge deep pass, which I had no idea how the wide receiver got open, scores the touchdown. They kick the extra point, which I didn't realize like how much time was left. I look at the clock and I see zeros, and I look at the official and I say, that's it. Is that it? It's over. Because like Stark County wasn't really celebrating. And he goes, yeah, we're headed to the fourth. And I look again and I realize I was like so zoned in and the crowd was like so into it that I literally went like 5 minutes of game time thinking it was the fourth quarter. So I'm going to embarrass myself and tell that story,
Yep,
but
that's all right.
it was such a great atmosphere. So fast forward fourth quarter, Annawan-Wethersfield scores with about 5 minutes left. They elect to go for two. Stark County, their defense stepped up all night and made the stops when they needed to. They got the stop on the 2-point conversion. They hold the 21-20 lead. They trade possessions. Annawan-Wethersfield gets it back one more time. They get down. They kind of hurt themselves with some penalties throughout the game. On the final drive, they set themselves back into a second down in about 20-ish situation. Dylan Orey airs it out. The ball's picked off by Stark County. That will end the game. But just a fantastic game, a well-coached, well-played game for Stark County. This is a program that, Mitch, we've talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously, how many years in a row they made the playoffs? They were a mainstay. They were state runner-ups twice over the, past 20 years. They were always in the playoffs. And then they hit some downtime where numbers weren't great. They weren't winning football games. Last year, they made the playoffs at 5-4. This year, they get that win in week 1. They had a lot of players back from last year's team, and we were kind of interested in what they had to bring back. This is a statement win for them on the road. I was really impressed tonight.
Yeah. We've talked so far this season that we think that Rova, Williamsfield, Annawan-Wethersfield, and Stark County, we're gonna battle for those. Well, certainly for the title in this division, but certainly for the 1, 2, and 3, kind of where they would stack. With Stark County's win tonight over Annawan-Wethersfield, and looking at what the Rebels have moving forward, I think. Let me check what Rova's got. I think there's a chance that we'll have 2 undefeated teams going into week 6.
Oh, all right.
And Stark County's got A-Town, Havana, and West Hancock next, which I think are all 3 winnable games for Stark County the way that they're playing. And Rova's got United, which will be a tough game. United had a good win tonight. Princeville also had a good win tonight, and then South Fulton. But I think the way that Rova's playing, they could win all 3 of those games. So it could come, again, that week 6 game that is at Rova hosts that one. So we could be looking at a really special game in week 6 if these 2 teams keep playing the way that they do. So good win for Stark County. Glad you were there to see everything. A classic game there tonight for sure.
Yeah, it was awesome. Like I said, the atmosphere there was great. And again, I'm giving a ton of praise to Stark County, and that's a reflection of what I think about Annawan-Wethersfield. I've always been so impressed with kind of how they've, gone about their business. And this is a team that we've been really high on. Mitch, you especially were really high. We'll remind everyone in the
right.
But it's a team we've been really high on. And I think for this Stark County team to go in, scratch and claw, fight their way to a win on the road, it's great. It's good to see that life in this Stark County program again. Okay, now that we've talked about kind of how both of our nights went, Mitch, you got the scores in front of you. Let's start going through the list here. Do we want to kind of hit the reset and start in the Western Big Six and then go down the list?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's reset here. Some kind of scores and notes here from the Western Big Six. Tough night, Greg, across the
seemed like
the
it.
conference here as we head into Western Big Six play. So certainly these games for conference standing purposes don't matter a whole lot, but again, kind of that same type of thinking that we're starting to learn more about teams here as the weeks go by. Now we're getting into Western Big Six play. So the final out of conference games this year for them. Galesburg gets the win, 41-7 over Limestone. Mari Richardson had 3 touchdowns tonight. Gina Williams had 3 interceptions on defense. So nice one for the Silver Streaks. We thought this was a game that they could get a win, and they looked really nice doing so tonight. Geneseo, another team that were kind of maybe dark horse here in the Western Big Six. They get the big win over Grace Lake Central, 27-7. AJ Weller, another nice night, 3 touchdowns. He had an 80-yard QB keeper. And that Maple Leaf defense, Greg, keeps playing really, really well. Last week, hard to judge off that, right? This week, a little bit tougher opponent. still same stout defense. So good to see Geneseo sitting at 2-0. Moline got bit by Bennett Academy tonight. Bennett comes away with a 38-7 win. Bennett quarterback Ryan Kabaki had 3 touchdown tosses in the first half, and that Maroon offense just struggled to move the ball. So Bennett's a good program. Moline coming off of a win in week 1, but a tough loss for them tonight. Quincy, I tweeted at Shuckman tonight that they've just got so many players in so many ways that they can score. We talk a lot about Braden Little, and we're going to, but they can run the ball too. Jarius Rice had 4 touchdowns tonight. He had 3 at half. They get the big win, 40-6 over Alton. 2 more here. Dunlop, 21-7 winners over Rock Island. Rocky running back Gartar had the lone Rock Island score. I believe it's a 23-yard run. And Wheaton St. Francis got the best of Sterling tonight, 42-28. Greg the Spartans, boy, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this right. Alessio Miljojevic had 5 touchdowns.
I think you got it. I'm looking at the name right now. I think you got it.
I watched too much Serbian basketball, I guess. Wheaton St. Francis scored 28 in the second half to pull away. So looked like Holcomb had a good night. I think he had three scores one way or another. So, but a good Spartan team here in Wheaton St. Francis. So Greg, now we're done with out of conference in the Western Big Six. Now we're really getting into the thick of things here.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm ready to jump into Western Big Six play. And there's a few teams that come in with some questions. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess they're just looking for that spark, right? I mean, Sterling certainly looking for that spark of momentum. And Moline, despite the week 1 win, they're kind of looking to bounce back now too. This is a tough loss for them at home.
Yeah, and I take that back. They all still have 1 non-conference game left. But
that's okay. You spoiled it.
But week 3 still starts Western Big Six play. So
okay, yeah. So yeah, that's okay. You're right. They all have to fill the Alleman. Yeah, okay, you're right. Okay.
Yeah. This is they still have 1 non-conference game left, but week 3 they all play a conference game. So
this is the instant reacts. We don't edit, so we're
highlighted by Geneseo Moline. That's going to be a great game.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's interesting you bring say that, because I just said Moline's looking for that spark, that bounce back after getting the win on the road and then falling to Bennett Academy at home. And Geneseo, on the other hand, they're riding a lot of momentum here, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I will say Geneseo's first opponent is probably not up to the caliber of Moline's first 2 opponents, correct?
No, I wouldn't say so, no.
So I think that this win against Grays Lake for Geneseo is great, but I would say that Moline has challenged themselves, maybe a little more in 2 straight games. Credit to Geneseo, certainly. I don't want to take anything away from them. They're still 2-0, and they look great doing it. These teams come in. This is a pretty even matchup. That'll be one of the games of the week in the Western Big Six for sure.
Well, I think this is what Geneseo did last year too, right? They were 2-0. We got excited, and then it fell off just a little bit. But I think this is a much better Geneseo team than it was last year. So, yeah, looking forward to it. Again, that was a game, this week 3 game, Geneseo and Moline was on the Western Big Six preview that all of us, or all of you guys, I joined in late, but everyone kind of highlighted as a key game that we think will probably determine who's going to finish second in the conference. So I think that still holds true.
Yep, I would totally agree with that. All right, Mitch, we've talked a little bit about the track. We obviously know Morrison gets the huge win, 22-21. And we talked about Kewanee. I was there for a little while. Brady Clark had a good night. Boilermakers now sitting at 2-0. They had the win against Sherrard, and they're now sitting at 2-0 after the 28-0 win over Erie Prophetstown. But Mitch, go through the rest of the way here with the scores we got.
Yeah, this was a tight one. Monmouth Roseville squeaks out a 21-14 win over Bureau Valley. This was back and forth. It was 7-0. It was 7-7. It was 14-7. It was 14-14. Monmouth Roseville scores last. They get the win. So a good bounce back win for the Titans here. They got beat by Princeton pretty good last week. So and much improved from BV. I'm still have been impressed with them for 2 weeks despite this loss. I still look forward to seeing how their season progresses here. Orion, Woo! They put up some points again for the second straight week. 56-8 over Mendota. Cale Filler had 4 touchdowns in this one, so great win for the Chargers to move to 2-0. Rock Ridge. Oh, go ahead. Sorry,
Mitch. Before we keep going, it's been out there that we are serving as a little bit of motivation for the Orient Chargers. So I will say, man, we are really good motivators. Look at that. Look at that score.
We are nailing that.
We are
great.
We are leading the Orient Charge. Get it? See what I did there?
Yeah, I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
And we are giving out that motivation. It's awesome.
Rock Ridge bounces back from a tough loss in week 1 to Newman. It got dicey there, Greg.
This one was kind of wild, wasn't it?
Yeah, Rock Ridge had a pretty significant lead, and Lexington just didn't go away. They scored a couple times. They got an onside kick and scored after that. So it ends up being a Rock Ridge win. That's all we care about. 39-32 over the Mustangs, and Spring Valley Hall gets the win over Riverdale, 46-6.
All right, we move it into the LLC. There is the first game you have listed here is the one that really stands out to me as a big win. Mercer County gets the win 38-13 on the road at Peru St. Bede. Go back a week ago, Peru St. Bede had a win in a neutral site game. I think it was at Illinois Wesleyan's Field over Tuscola. A pretty convincing win. Where, I mean, a lot of people were talking up St. Bede. I think they were state ranked. And, for good reason. They looked really good in week 1. On the flip side, we talked about Mercer County. They struggled to really get things going offensively against United. Maybe that's, we should have credited the Red Storm defense. Either way, look at this bounce back win for Mercer County. Mitch, do you know much about this one? Did you catch much of this or?
No, I didn't. But I think for all the things you just mentioned, right, that they that Peru St. Bede, we were impressed with their win over Tuscola, and certainly Mercer County, we were kind of surprised with how they played. So all the credit to them to get the win here. I do not have stats on this one, unfortunately, so it'll roll in. I mean, it's 137 where I am right now, so I don't have all of this. I don't have all of the stats tonight, Greg. But either way, you can just tell from the score that this was a good win for Merco, and gets them back on the right track as they head into conference play.
Yeah. Give me some other scores here. I'm looking down the list, but you were kind of monitoring all night, so I'll let you take the lead here.
Yeah, all business in the LLC, as we like to say. Rover-Williamsfield moves to 2-0, 47-8 over Lewiston. Blake Burlshofer had 182 yards and 3 touchdowns. Illini West gets the 34-14 win over Elmwood Brimfield. Chargers were up just a little bit, 22-14 at half. They pulled away certainly in the second half, and nice shutout for the Charger defense too to pick up the win. Farmington, a 45-20 win over West Hancock. Now, I don't know if the Wheelwrights are brothers or cousins. I'm not quite sure, but they are quite the rushing attack for the Farmers. Jack Wheelwright had 222 yards, and I put Jack down there twice. That's my mistake. There is another Wheelwright, I know that. 77 yards. So good win for Farmington here. Moving into the small school division, South Fulton 13-0 over A-Town. The Stark County game, as you mentioned, a 21-20 win for the Rebels. United moves to 2-0, correct? 34-22 over Rushville Industry.
Yeah, if that score is correct, then they beat Mercer County last week, and now they beat Rushville Industry. Like, what a great start for a program that, let's be honest, like they really struggled last year after being a playoff team the year before. So for head coach David Milroy, this is great for them.
Big game in week 3, hosting Rover-Williamsfield.
Oh wow, yeah, that is big.
And then from the depths of Twitter, Princeville wins 36-14 over the Havana Ducks.
There you go. Good research, Mitch. Way to get that done. All right, I say we move into the smaller schools, the NUIC, and then the 8-man ranks. Yeah, well, let's start with Northwest Upstate Illini, the marquee one, Lena Winslow and Fulton.
Yeah, two top teams in 1A, right? Fulton coming off that tough loss last week to Forreston. And boy, what can you do against Lee Win anymore, right?
Yeah.
And until someone beats them, no one has the blueprint to really slow them down. So a 32-8 win for the top ranked team in 1A, Lee Win. Gage Dunker had 4 touchdowns in this one. That one was on the road at Fulton. So a tough start for Fulton. I think we talked about this week, that I think their toughest games are out of the way. And so now they're sitting in an 0-2 hole, but I don't think they're in a bad place. So we'll see. But for Lee Win, do they just roll on?
So I want to say that in the AP polls, I believe, and maybe even in Kyle's NUIC football statewide polls, I believe that Lena Winslow was number 1 in the state. Forreston was number 2 in the state. And Fulton had to play both of them in back-to-back weeks to open the season.
Yeah.
So, and they played fairly well. I mean, they obviously played really well against Forreston and almost knocked them off. In this one, I think they were close early-ish. I was only following on Twitter, but either way, like you said, until someone can prove they can beat Lena Winslow, it's just, it's hard to figure out or to see it happening. But either way, you're right. I think that these 2 games out of the way, there are a lot of wins down the road for this team. This is a very talented Steamer football team. So we'll see how it plays out. But man, that's a gauntlet of a start. Yep. The rest of the way down the Northwest Upstate Illini, Forreston 18-8 over Dakota, Galena 49-0 over West Carroll, Dupec 42-0 over Eastland Pearl City, and Stockton gets the non-conference win against Hayworth 47-13. We'll start there real quick. Stockton played well against Dupec a week ago. Couldn't quite come away with the win, but this is, it's always interesting to me to see the Northwest Upstate Illini play that non-conference game. Because look at this. They go on the road, or I don't know if they're on the road or at home, but either way, they go out in week 2, play a non-conference game, get the convincing victory. This is one of those stamps of this shows you how good that conference is, right?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, good to see Stockton back in the fold. I think Kyle was pretty high on them to make a jump this season from 3-6 last year. So maybe a big game next week. It's Lena and Stockton, so 2 undefeated teams. And then they've got Fulton after that. So we'll see what Stockton has here in the next couple of weeks as they move on. But nonetheless, as you mentioned, a great win over Hayworth team that I was impressed with last week, but they got the win over West Hancock. So as we kind of keep going through this season, see how things shake out. I think Stockton's going to be right in there. Maybe not at the top, but maybe right in that middle, as opposed to being in the bottom part of that conference.
Galena had a convincing win over Eastland Pearl City last week?
Yeah, they won 28-6 over EPC last week.
Yeah, and then they get another big win tonight against West Carroll. What do they have coming down the way? This is a nice start for Galena. Yeah.
So Galena's got Forreston at home next week. And then they play
Saranac, Michigan. All right. Yeah. It does IHSA list Saranac as 1-0. So there's the insight that we have on them.
Yep. And then Dupec, Fulton.
Yeah.
And then Dakota, Lena, Stockton. So,
they do have a tough stretch then. Obviously I don't know about Saranac. We won't know about that one. But yeah, that Forreston, Dupec, Fulton, that's a grind. And then obviously you still got Lena Winslow waiting. So
yeah, in my experience in Michigan at all levels of football is just terrible. So high school, college, NFL, doesn't matter. Michigan football is bad. Okay. So we'll see if the Pirates win that one, I think, for sure.
Great insight. Glad to have it.
Right.
All right, we got some huge 8-man scores. You got those for us?
No. Okay. we know one.
Okay.
And this watching the Morrison Princeton game, they do a good job of uh, during breaks and such, telling the scores around the state or around the area. And so as they kept calling out the Amboy score tonight, it just kept getting more and more absurd. And to the final tune, they beat River Ridge 80-8.
No, man. Wow. Yeah. So I'd say we were high on Amboy, and for good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking at let me say this too, because I don't think we've plugged this yet. The new IHSAfootball.com website with the scores is
Yes.
awesome. It is
Yeah.
so much better than what it used to be. What was it, Score Zone or something?
Yep.
Before. I don't know how you report scores to this, but everyone seems to be using it, which is really nice. So
Awesome.
kind of clicking through here to get some scores. I'll try and remember which teams we really cover, but Blue Ridge gets a win 30-6 over St. Anne. St. Thomas More won 20-17 over Cornell Woodland. No score from the South Fork game. Or
I got Milledgeville 64-14 over Quest Academy. Connor Nye looked good. Micah Tom Smith had a touchdown. Trying to think of what else I saw in the highlights on WQAD, but I did catch that score.
Ridgeview beat West Central pretty good, right?
Yes, they did. Yep, Ridgewood got the win over West Central.
South Beloit beat Peoria Heights. West Prairie beat Bushnell Prairie City. Moving to the north, AFC beat Alden Hebron. No scores in a couple other ones here. Yeah, Milledgeville won 64-14. There's your Amboy score over River Ridge, 80-8. Looks like tomorrow Polo and Orangeville play. And you've got Decatur, Unity, and Pawnee tomorrow as well. Speaking of other conferences too, United Township plays tomorrow in the Western Big Six. You've got Newman and Sherrard in the track.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And
I think that one will be on WRMJ with Ty Taylor. So, listen in.
And was there an LLC game tomorrow? Maybe, I'm not quite sure, but yeah. So yeah, there's your 8-man rundown as best as we have it.
Awesome. Mitch, before we wrap up, I do want to jump back into 11-man football. I want to give a quick shout out. Tonight was a very unique matchup. The two smallest schools in 11-man football in the state of Illinois played tonight. Ottawa Marquette hosted Madison. Enrollment of 154 for Marquette. Enrollment of 155 for Madison, according to the IHSA. Marquette comes away with the 56-6 win. Yeah. I'm a proud Marquette alum, so that's part of the reason I'm bringing it up. But in all seriousness, the real reason I'm bringing it up. So my dad was there. My dad is still does PA work for him, and he's at a lot of the home games. He texted me after the game. So Madison is from way down by St. Louis, right near East St. Louis. So they were actually staying the night tonight in Ottawa after the game. They weren't going to drive back.
Okay.
Marquette always hosts like a tenderloin dinner. They do something after games for fans and for alumni and families and everything. It's always been a tradition. They go to the Knights of Columbus to do this thing. And so they did it tonight. And actually they knew Madison was staying the night. They invited Madison. So Madison players, parents, coaches, they all showed up. My dad said when their team came in, the Marquette fans gave them a standing ovation. Like, we're like so happy that they were there. So they all like had a meal together afterwards. Like, I don't know. I read it and it was like, man, that's so cool. Like, it's such a cool moment. Like, literally the two smallest 11-man teams in the state, play this game, and it was lopsided. It is what it is. But to have that kind of like, I don't know, to have that moment, and that's kind of what it's all about. When it's more than just what happens on the field. It's these experiences. That's a really cool thing. So I was really happy to hear it. Wanted to give it a shout out. Yeah,
love that.
Also, Polonsic's tenderloins in Ottawa, they're the best. The ones that like now hold on, they're the ones where the bun is only like only fills up about 10% of the actual tenderloin patty. And man, you get some ketchup and mustard and some onions and pickles, and it's fantastic. So
sounds amazing.
It is very amazing. So Mitch, where's the party at in Morrison tonight?
Boy, It's been so long since I've been downtown Morrison.
I mean, Fat Daddy's has got to be serving burgers, right? There's
Fat Boys, yeah. Fat
Fat
Boys
Boys.
probably has burgers. It's probably selling burgers. It's KJ's the name of the bar, I think. So
Okay.
wherever they're serving cold drinks is where the party is tonight. From everyone that I've talked to, seeing on social media the school posting things, it's got all these likes and comments. So the community is loving this game tonight. So I imagine that Coach Vandermeid is going to be walking into quite the party wherever he goes tonight. And again, on his birthday. So a very, very well deserved a victory for him and again for that program. So what a night all across the board. So I think you tweeted it best. You said, like, I don't remember how you worded it, but it's just nights like this are why we do it.
Yep,
like
absolutely.
just seeing just seeing the communities and how much fun everyone has and seeing great games. Like, yeah, that's exactly what it's all about. So tonight was no different, and looking forward to keep doing it week after week.
Mitch, I was going to ask you earlier. I thought about it on my drive back when I was thinking about the Instant Reacts podcast. I didn't get a chance to ask earlier, but I need the Instant Reacts for the question of, is this the biggest Morrison win since a 2011 state championship?
I was trying to think about that. And those two teams who won state titles.
Yeah.
You knew that they were. I think they were both undefeated. One might have had one loss, but you knew how good they were. And so it's not like it wasn't surprising that they won a state title, but the joy of winning a state title obviously is unmatched, I think.
Yes.
I think this feels almost in the same vein just because Morrison was unranked, because Princeton was on a 20-plus some regular season win streak, because they were the top, team in 3A. It feels like it's on that sort of same tier. I think does it match a state championship win? No, certainly nothing doesn't. But it's up there, and probably, like you said, the most excitement since then. I would agree with that.
That's what I was going to say. Since those state championships, everything from there on, man, I really have to rack my brain. I haven't thought about it, but just looking through, the different. Now, obviously, that 2019 season was great, right? They were undefeated. Were they undefeated regular season? They must have been. They only lost one game. I believe they were 11 and
when they lost to Annawan.
Yep, they were 11-1 that year. So they had a great season in 19. But I still, just for the reasons you just pointed out, this win really stands above the rest when you go on the road to a bigger school that's been such a great program for the last several years. Yeah, okay, I had to ask. I had to find out what you thought.
Big one, week 3. Home against Orion.
Oh, wow. Here we go. Yeah.
Yep.
So 2-0 versus 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yep. So that'll just looking at the Rock standings. Those two are at the top. Those two are the only unbeaten teams.
Mm-hmm.
Erie's 0-2, Monmouth 1-1. Sherrard will find out tomorrow. Rock Ridge is 1-1. So again, we thought that this was going to be Rock Ridge's division. It certainly still can be, but as it sits right now, both Morrison and Orion undefeated. There will only be one undefeated after next Friday.
Yeah. Oh man, this is great. Oh man. I told head coach Jade Nord from Stark County as I was walking off the field, because he mentioned, I made a reference about, coach, I was the only TV station that was able to come back and get the finish of your game. And he kind of laughed and said, well, does this make up for your clunker in week 1? And I said, oh man, I said, you have no idea. I said, this is an all-timer for me. This Friday night was an all-timer.
Yep.
I love it. It was great. So, all right, Mitch, the Instant Reacts. I'm glad you could be here. You got to play the role of Brian Stocking. You did it well.
I can't live up to a bar that high. But it is 2 a.m. here.
Oh my gosh. We are sick. This is
it's not it's not good at all. But
what time are your kids gonna wake you up? Good Lord.
I don't know.
I mean, if
they're usually pretty good about it.
Okay. All right. Well, what
It's
time is
just
your wife?
what time will my wife wake me up is
Yeah.
very question.
Yeah. Oh, well, I appreciate it. I love it. Oh man, I'm not gonna go to bed. I'm gonna stay up all night because I'm just on an adrenaline high, and then
You
I'm
got
gonna regret it in
if
the morning.
yeah if I'm gonna look it up right now because it's the instant reacts
Yep.
and see if Tiger Central Live has that game
Oh, I gotta watch it. If I can watch it in
on
replay.
if it's on archive already, and if you just watched the last 20 minutes,
Oh, I can't. You're right. I'm not going to bed tonight. I gotta watch the replay.
and it's on there.
Oh, here we go.
So, yeah, we should tweet that out too. Maybe tomorrow once
Yeah.
everyone wakes up, just to for anyone who didn't see it. Because we got a lot of. I answered a lot of people tonight. Where are you seeing the game at? So,
That's great. Good.
we'll since it's on there, we should tweet that out and have people watch because I'm not even gonna say anymore because I want you to watch it and I'll get your reaction
Oh,
later. So
I can't wait. Maybe what I should do now is I'm not gonna go to bed anyway, so I'll start a live. I'll start a live like a watch along, and I'll just watch it, and we'll just people can see
there you go. Yeah,
watch with me.
I bet the people in Morrison are up. I'll tell you that.
All right, Mitch. We're gonna do this again. Not this exact podcast, but something. We'll break down and give a little more stats, and we'll get a little more detail. And we got to find our Matthewson's mini helmets player of the week. Casey Etheridge from Princeton won it in week 1. We got to start crunching the numbers and see who's a candidate. Jarius Rice 4 touchdowns. Bielema from Morrison.
I was just thinking that Colton Bielema might have a pretty good shot at it.
Yep. Yep.
Looking probably at Deshaun McQueen's receiving yards too.
Yep.
So yeah, somebody from Morrison certainly is in the running for that, but we'll let the stats roll in here. We've seen some numbers so far, so yeah, another great week of great performances, and we'll try and narrow it down to one and give that award to the worthy player.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you to everyone who listens. We'll be back again Tuesday morning in your ear with a new podcast highlighting week 3. But thank you for listening to the Instant Reacts for week number 2. What a week. We will talk to you very soon.